Hello and welcome to Dice on Ice. I am Connor, and this is Crifoth, Reclamation. Today's episode is called Nigredo, an alchemical term for the blackening. We start our session off with Gift, having wandered off into the stony complex of our players find themselves in. It is old stone, ancient pillars of dusty sand, cracked murals long obscured by age. It is a vast, vast room with great pillars holding up a ceiling that is even high enough to be cloaked in darkness. The steps, each one laced with stones of many kinds, in a mosaic or tiling, descend dozens of feet below. And once it hits this base floor, you can see the room beyond. It spans over 100 feet in diameter, circular. The ground itself is cracked, the floor perforated and just smoldered by veins in the earth that glow red hot, hinting at what unbearable heat lies below. And at this room's center is a great gash, a great sundering, an eruption of sorts. You can see the stony pillars and crags surrounding this hole. It's not a cave-in, but it's something as if something had burst out from further depths. Zion, with her red skin, her coiling horns, a grace to her steps, but determination, begins to descend step by step down this marble staircase. There it is, she says. The womb tomb, where the first Harbinger emerged. It's where it is here it awoken. It has awoken. I've shown it to you now. What do you think of all this? I've held my end of the bargain up. I've gotten to you here safely. Carnage. What do you think of all this?
He looks around with this womb tomb. You're chasing stories, Zion.
Can a story blast the earth to nothingness and rip a hole through its mantle? She points up to the giant column of light that illuminates it.
No, you're right. But
see it how it melted the rock itself. See that energy crackle from this hole. And like if you look closely, you can see these almost like yellow lightning bolts kind of crackle and spark as if the static electricity. You can see that the hole above is not one of like just a giant shattering of sorts. It looks like something melted its way up through there, as if the ground were made of butter or candles. Yeah.
So he is both, I think, right now, especially after feasting, he's unflinching. He's not afraid. He's more curious, but also cautious, right? So he begins to step forward and looking at all these things. You spoke of a power, didn't you? And what do you want from one of these things? What are you after?
You can see its power in this remnant, this tiny scarring in the earth. This is just a hint at what it's capable of. Imagine this wreaking havoc on the strongholds to the west. You know of our plight here on Crifoth.
Yes.
Is this not a means to an end?
But Zion, I ask you this. What do you expect to come of your little search party? What do you expect us to do now that we're here?
I know of this place. I've wandered its halls a few times. I know that there are many secrets, many things that line its walls, many things lie hidden in its rooms and chambers. I've not explored every wing of this temple, I'll call it. Not sure what it once served as. But it is a place of importance. I can feel it, and I can see it on the walls.
Need I remind you, we are not all at our best health. We just fought a giant demon.
I feel this place might be as good a spot as any for us to throw down our bags, so to speak. I know of only one exit and one entrance to this place, and that is whence we came, besides the giant hole in the ceiling that you can
He nods to you, running his hand along the tile, the intricate tile work. I will track with you, Zion, for a little while longer. But I promise you, if you lead us on a suicide mission, I would much rather see you sacrifice than those who have been with me longer.
So, why now? Why would this thing? And Bone Whisperer kind of puts her hand on the wall, looking at the surroundings, looking at the wall itself, looking up at the hole. Why did it awake?
I don't know. But I bet you they do.
Your mic muted. Try it now.
I don't know why. But I bet you they do. She gestures to the walls and the pillars. They're adorned with pictures and drawings and symbols and things that I can't even parse with my own devil eyes. But with the four of us, she looks around, wherever that fifth may be. It's the four of us here right now. We might be able to make heads or tails of this.
Gift needs to find her own path. She is lost. And only she can bring herself back.
We see. Girl wander, alone like sheep. Get eaten like sheep.
Let us not forget, Gobachun, that you too were lost.
You speak truth.
I still have faith that the child will... Well, we shall see what happens. But how far did you get into these ruins, Zion?
There are 2 wings beyond here. One to the left, one to the right. I've not seen either of their ends. But I've seen or heard nothing emerge from them. They are quiet. They are still and they are empty.
And what, may I ask, stopped you from going further?
Time. Time is always of the essence. Our corps captain gathered what he needed from this place. He had seen enough of the drawings and enough of the writings to make sense of this. I am not privy to this information that he gleaned. And so we packed up and left.
You Blood Knights always so secretive.
It is a strange world we live in, where the thoughts in your own mind can betray your loved ones. Keep that in mind when you face a demon. A demon who can smell your thoughts, your fears, your secrets, and even your soul. Sometimes to know is to weakness.
And so you trust your, what do you call them, elders with your secrets? Who's to say that they aren't, you know, tricking your mind? She kind of laughs to herself. She just begins kind of slowly walking.
She makes no comment of that as you walk away. Make yourselves comfortable here. I will look at these drawings. I'll pick up where I left off so many moons ago. And she wanders off to the left wing, climbing the stairs once again, like lead off to a separate area.
I think Carnage would look to the party and say, "I've feasted. Demon blood is like many nights' rest. I'll be fine for now. The two of you get some rest. I'll take first watch. When you wake, we can start seeing if we can make heads or tails of this place. I still don't quite believe it."
Gobachun help you keep watch through the spirits. And she just touches the air out in front of her, and the air all around ripples like somebody dropped a stone into the water. Just a fast ripple. And you get a +5 bonus on your perception checks.
Thank you.
And so you take a rest of some variety. How long of a rest are you wanting to go for here?
I guess I'll ask the rest of the party. I don't know how you guys feel, but I mean, I'm keen for a short rest. Maybe that might get us enough to get through it.
Yeah, I
I
think
mean, I'd like a long rest, but yeah, a short rest is fine. I would agree to that. And Gobachun will also point out that whilst with a little sneer, need to wait for young one also.
she will find us, or she will be lost and she will die. That is her decision that she made when she left the party. Don't you think?
You can see as you say those words, Carnage is actively torn.
Bone Whisperer. She is still a child, though. Just like I came to you when I was young, you can't necessarily ask me to let her roam alone, having to deal with this.
She became her own person, an adult, when she drank of the demonic blood. Now she is on her own.
I remember the first time I drank. It was force-fed to me by 2 fucking blood knights. 2 of them held my arms down. And 2 of them began chanting in a feverish pitch. They held the bowl up to my mouth, and I tried to escape. But the chains were too heavy, and I couldn't help it. I wasn't a demon then, I was a child.
You had
I can
no
only
choice.
imagine.
You had no choice. She did.
I know. And she made that choice.
And,
And I'm not happy with it.
No, neither am I. You remember what I said. All hope for her is lost.
Gobachun spits on the ground. You had no choice. She had choice. Big difference.
Both you, Gobachun, and you, Carnage, had to deal with what you were given, with the events that thrust themselves upon you. She did all of this herself. And so she, like you too, must endure the consequences.
To be a tiefling alone and deal with this, it'll be excruciating. It'll be torture of both the mind and the body. She does not know what she's getting herself into. I warned her multiple times now.
And he takes his halberd and I think for a moment, he just swings it wildly and it probably like slices the edge into the side of this pillar and cracks a little bit of the stone.
I know what I feel like now. This is after years of already drinking it. I can only imagine what she feels like. Must feel like a furnace. Fucking fire in her belly.
This is true. I know not of the pain that she endures. You do. But I feel like we are offering her a second chance. Susuri, those who are weak, are usually those who go against their nature, go against what should be. They are eaten. Gobetron, is it not true that young orcs who disobey their elders are cast out, just young, into the sands to die?
Just so. Respect. Important.
She must learn these lessons. And I'm sorry, Carnage, that you feel you are responsible. That is a burden.
He takes a deep sigh and then growls a bit.
Just go to bed. Get your rest. Do what needs to be done. I'll watch over this place. And when you wake, we'll work to figuring things out. Wherever Zion, paradise. If you ask me, that's bullshit. There's nothing paradise about Crifoth.
Capuchin snorts. Rest. Who can rest in devil's bed? Ugh.
Fair enough.
Bone Whisperer would take out this half-cleaned ash elf skull, and just continue to whittle away the flesh from Bone. She does this so carefully, as if she is not wanting to leave even one scratch on the bone, but she wants to leave it immaculately clean. And she will work on that until she tires, and then she will probably go to sleep.
And so you may take this short rest that you so wish. Is 8 hours come and go. Carnage, in your watch of this, you can see the flickering torchlight of Zion coming from that far chamber. It comes in and out and disappears from view and then returns once again and fades away. But never do you see the profile of Zion. Never do you see her. But you know that she is there. The spotlight of light fades to darkness as the small blanket of night comes over the world of Crifoth. And as brief as night lasts, it soon vanishes, this darkness, and is replaced by the light of the suns again. You can see that pillar of light over that world wound as it comes into view again and illuminates the majority of this vast chamber in a small bit of light.
Think after the rest, Gobachun stirs, opens an eye, looks at the light and grunts. "Ugh. Not sure if better down here, up there. Ugh. No place good."
I think you wake to see Carnage is also awake, and he grunts and laughs back to you.
Have you not heard? There's a saying in Crifoth. There's no rest for the wicked.
Gobachun has not heard. Gobachun not wicked, though.
Neither am I. But I guess the horns define that, don't they?
And Gobachun takes a little drink of water. Because it's hot and dusty.
Eventually, Bone Whisperer would stir. You can hear the crack of her bones as she slowly gets up, stretches. She adjusts herself so that each scale, each rusted scale, is back in a comfortable position. She looks around for Gift, but upon not seeing her, stares resolutely back at the group with her staff in hand. Is Zion there?
Zion is still beyond in some chamber in one of the wings. She has not returned yet.
Suppose Zion got an early start.
I don't know if she even quit last night. But, I imagine we should probably catch up with her soon.
He looks deep into the cavern, like behind you. Doesn't say anything for a long time. And then looks to you.
What did you say? There was something you said to me when I was younger. It is better to be smart than to be dead.
That does sound like something I would say, doesn't it?
And for her sake, I hope she's smart.
If anything, what she lacks in survival, she more than makes up for in her ideals.
She very small and hide in rock if she think to.
She'd probably fight the rock. But let us go after her. And yeah, Bone Whisperer just takes like a bunch of deep breaths as if she is just kind of dreading this amount of work.
When Carnage sees that, he looks at you and he says,
I was holding on to this for when the pain got too difficult for me to handle. My tribe was known for those fucking blood knights. They're smarter than they look. Some of them. My kinship, they made salves to prevent us from losing our minds in Crifoth. To relax ourselves, these concoctions. And he pulls out a small, like, vial from inside, like, one of the pouches on his belt. He says, yeah, drink of it a little bit. It may take the edge off for the day. Allow you to see Crifoth a little clearer without the horrific endeavors.
You've always been so kind to me, Carnage. Thank you. And yeah, she would take it and just drink a little bit, probably wincing at the inevitable awful taste of it.
yeah, it probably tastes something rancid, but then as soon as you taste it, it probably affects you in like the way like a warm tea would hit your, like a chamomile or a lavender would hit your stomach and make you feel like relaxed as hell. Just immediately, any stress or worries that you had just start to fade.
You can almost visibly see Bone Whisper just kind of relax, and she actually stands up a little straighter, so you can actually see how tall that she actually is. When she's hunched over, she's probably about 6 feet, but when she stands up to her full height, she's probably pushing 8. And so she does that when she drinks the tea. Gobachun, are you ready?
Gobachun looks up at Bone Whisperer now. Ready.
And so you climb that flight of stairs, and you're following where Zion had gone, correct?
Mm-hmm.
So you climb that flight of stairs, like Carnage points out, and they are just as tall as the ones that descended into this grand antechamber. And as you rise, you can see the scape behind you gets smaller and smaller and smaller as you progress higher and higher. And finally, you make your way into some grand hall. It has these sweeping archways. made of white stone, unmarred. They're almost polished to see your reflection. But that reflection is muted by the passing of time, the crack of debris, and other elements. Each step you take echoes resoundingly. It's the only sound that accompanies you as you walk step by step in this long hall. Each of the walls on your left and right are made of the same smooth white marble, but it is not flat. It is adorned with bumps and gouges and depressions and outcroppings. And if you look, you can actually trace your fingers upon them or look at them in a certain way, and they form images. As the light and the shadow reflects off of them, at first they seemed incoherent, but then they form these big murals, this never-ending picture. You think it might end at some point? No, it just continues into another, all connected in some pictograph, though the meaning of this eludes most of you. You can see vague forms such as people, great things of importance, though you can't make out really what they look like. A chariot, if you even know what that is, and other things of grand history that predates all of you combined.
Gobachun doesn't understand what she's looking at, but she's running her fingers over the marble walls as we walk, almost reverently.
And they feel like the smoothest thing Gobachun has ever felt. As if they almost feel slippery, as if they were moist with water, but there is no wetness to them. Just polished to some fine finish. And even a bit of shimmering powder comes off in your hands and fingers. It sparkles in the light. It's gold.
I turn to Bone Whisperer and say, "Who do this?"
Bone Whisperer just shakes her head. I know not of the hands that built this. Perhaps sometime before the fall. And she would like touch the wall as well.
The little clack of your claw tacks against this stone wall, and it's almost like glass with its polished nature. And you're able to make out pictures of, as well, these chariots rode by men and women alike. Though their frames are a bit distorted, these people. They seem smaller, as if someone had squished them in just a small fraction. And the horses that draw this chariot are not the same style as the horses that roam the Crifoth wilds, whatever mutated form they take. They have sweeping horns, stocky frames, and grand manes.
This must have been such a lovely time. And Bone Whisperer almost looks wistfully at these pictures. Because I'm sure everyone has heard of the land before the fall and how much of a paradise it was. Whether that was true or not, it has become very grandized. So, yeah, she would just kind of look. No hunger, no thirst. Rivers ran clear. Could you even imagine such a thing? No. And she looks at Carnage and Zion. No demons.
I think at that, Carnage speaks up.
Oh, to be able to live a life. You didn't have to play sides. You didn't have to decide whether or not you were going to be demon or human or starving or filled bellies or drinking rancid water or fresh. I imagine this time would have been much easier on all of us. But look at us now, covered in filth, echoes of blood, a fracture of what this must have been like.
He looks at the pictures. These horses with their long horns. And I think for a moment, not ignorant, but for a brief moment, it's almost this childlike whimsy of,
can you imagine a group of people who might have been able to tame the demons? That would have been interesting, wouldn't it? They would have never made it to power. We would have never had to suffer like this.
and he like runs his claws along the horns of this mighty steed, and then touches his own.
Whoever you were, I envy you.
A voice calls out, echoing from some farther chamber. You know they can't hear you, right? It's the voice of Zion.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if they can hear me or not. My tribe can't hear me, can they? And I speak ill of them in multiple times a day.
Zion emerges from some chamber that branches off from this hall farther down. She has kind of a weariness to her eyes, a bit of a slouch to herself. She looks like she hasn't slept in a long time.
How good of you to grace us with your presence, Zion. Question, if I may. Have you found anything here that might open our eyes?
Yes, I have. I found something. Something I think that my Crore captain found and so quickly left. I, too, feel the need to leave after seeing it. But not out of haste or fear. I can show you. It's right down here.
Carnage grips the edge of his halberd. the hilt of his halberd, and the heavy weight of the blade sort of drags against the floor. He looks to Bone Whisperer and then to Go-Bachun.
Allow me to go first. Wouldn't want any misunderstandings.
And so I think he'll go to see what Zion is claiming, but I think he wants to try to sort of do this alone, so that he doesn't risk or endanger the rest of the party. He'd rather be tiefling to tiefling than drag them into something that might be a trap.
So she takes you down this side chamber as you follow her. And there are these bright white lights that illuminate this place, almost as if they were miniature suns. You see them flicker like flames do on sconces on the walls. They do not flicker or glow like regular fire. Something uncanny about them, something pure, something timeless. And at this, and there's a kind of a platform between the two of these sconces. It is large, it is wide, and it is the dominant feature of this side chamber. She kind of stands at the center, looking upon it. See this? It shows who they were, the people who made this place.
He squints through the just bright luminescence with his like dark vision.
Barely. What am I looking at?
See how the ground is alive. See how those people pray to it. See them on their knees. See them have offerings. See them love it. They love the world. We can see that. And then look here. And it shows this grand obelisk at the center. It is tall, surrounded by many, many folk who are on their knees worshiping at it. I found that. And she kind of taps on that obelisk. It is just beyond. And there's another set of stairs that descend from this room further on still. That might be the key to Go-Bachun's question of why. I can show you it, although it does not look quite like that. Tapping on it again.
Large stone, not frightened. Go-Bachun does not understand. Is only stone.
I have a feeling, Go-Bachun, that you will understand its importance when you gaze upon it yourself. If you'll follow me once more. But before I do, I have a bit of a riddle for you. What is an eye? With that, she descends those stairs.
Go-Bachun looks at Bone Whisperer and shrugs and goes, is I.
And Whisper just kind of looks
And follows.
Bone Whisper just kind of nods at Gobachin and then just shakes her head, kind of muttering to herself, "This is not the place for riddles." Still. And she would just follow after Gobachin.
And as you descend these staircases, they're of the same polished white stone. There's a weird, inaudible thrumming sound that kind of comes from all around. It kind of crescendos, then fades away, and then crescendos once again. You can't hear it. It's more like a feeling you have. None of the stones beneath your feet vibrate. Nothing in the sound quivers. Nothing in the air has sound. But it's still there, omnipresent. And then the staircases become basked in orange light from beyond. And then yet, they come to an end. And beyond is emptiness. A great hole, a great chasm, a great void. Now, at the center of this great void is something beyond words. Imagine a roiling maelstrom, but not of storm, not of wind, not of rain, but of cracked black stone, of red and orange lightning. It is this orb of chaotic energy, primordial element, roiling in a great sphere. Its form shifts, the stones clatter against each other, and they spark when they clatter. Zion begins to say, although she has to say it a bit louder to say it over the cacophony of this strangeness. An eye is but a thing you can use to see another place. You can connect your own body with the world around you. That once had a form of that obelisk. You can see it on the same markings upon the stone flesh. And she speaks truly. There's many intricate carvings upon that, on the stone pieces, each fractured, each just a crumbling remnant of the obelisk shown in that mural. She looks to Carnage. Look into it. What do you see?
Before I do, have you already done the same?
Yes, I have. But mind your step. It's quite the fall. And
so
there's
he
a sheer cliff face that just descends to darkness.
Yeah. So he's going to gingerly take a step forward, and I think he'll even place his halberd along his back so that he has nothing blocking his hands for grip, and then he'll step forward to look at this orb, this obelisk, this maelstrom in front of him.
You kind of look at it, looking around its form, seeing all those minor details, just the chaos that is in front of you. And as your gaze shifts to its center, you see this orange light from its epicenter. And you stare into it, curious. And with that, your vision reddens. You're not standing there on that ledge looking at chaos itself. You see as if you were hundreds of feet in the air. You see a landscape just scroll past you, just zooming by. You see the crags of rocks You see the rivers of black oil. Your head does not turn as you wish it to turn, but it turns as if you're just some passenger. A great bout of flame emerges from your mouth. It scours the landscape beneath you. Nothing but scorch marks remain of what burnt to cinders from this great flame. You feel a power in your own body. Something you've never felt before. Something you probably never will feel again. You come to realize that you are that dragon that decimated that wagon, that threatened your very lives with primordial heat. You look up with this red vision, and you see a spot of greenery, although I don't know if you can even tell if it's green or not, but it's different. You see the foliage of oasis plants. You see the canvas of leather tents. You see a red tiefling stand on a podium and talk to the many villagers that surround him. This dragon perches on a cliff overlooking this village. You can see it in full view. It is verdant. It is peaceful here. It is enclosed on all sides by walls of stone, whether natural or artificial. And with that, your mind shunts itself from this great journey, from this great passing. And you find yourselves just teetering over the edge. Zion has grabbed your back to keep your balance. She pulls you back as you come to.
I think in that he falls to his knees as you pull him back. Like he staggers, and then drops to his knees, hands on the stone.
What was that? I felt...
That, Carnage, was the eye of the First Harbinger. That is where it flies. You're in its mind, in its head, in its body.
I've never felt such... Of all the demons I have drank, I have never felt such power before.
And you can see that his tiefling claws are like actually digging into this stone floor, kind of with like this gritted resilience. And then he looks back to the pair of Bone Whisperer and Gobachun.
I could feel it. I could feel the heat from my mouth. Every muscle in my body shook. I could feel that power. And the longer I stayed in it, the more I didn't want to release. Zion, this is not a solution. This is a trap in and of itself. And you know it.
Did you not feel the beat of its wings on your own flesh? Did you not feel that power build up in the back of your throat?
Yes, but that's also... Yes. That is why it is so dangerous, don't you understand?
See, the danger... Sure, you may be correct, and this is dangerous, because we're teetering the edge of this cliff. But through this eye, we can see where this thing is. We can see where it comes, and we can see where it goes. We have knowledge of where it is, exactly where it is.
I think there's a long standoff between Carnage and Zion, and there's this moment where Carnage wants to just reach a spindly hand out and around your neck and try to like convince you that this is wrong, that this sort of power isn't to be toyed with. And yeah, I think that's exactly what he's going to do. So as he gets up from his knelt position, he springs up and his arm shoots out toward her neck. And I think he's going to try and at least grab around her throat and like hold her over this precipice.
You catch her off guard, and you feel the soft flesh of her throat in your meaty hands. She is light. She is emaciated. She is a fragile person. And you're able to lift her easily off the ground. She clutches at your wrist. She tries to cough up words, but she can't.
Do you feel that power that I feel right now? This is not a toy. This is not something you can use.
You don't understand.
Opportune lunges forward and just kind of rests her hands on the back of Carnage and goes, "No. No."
And as you do that, I think he flings Zion back in toward the room, away from the cliff face, but in toward the room, and aggressively just flings her against a wall somewhere.
She is thrown to the steps. Her head cracks against that white stone. Part of her horn is fractured from this. She lies there, slumped, limp, like a rag doll.
I don't want to hurt you, Zion. But what you're asking us to use, I felt it. I'm still feeling it.
Her hands, her shoulders, her arms quiver as she tries to get herself up off of the stairs. You don't understand, Carnage. You are just an observer. You are just a watcher. You see, you are not it. You can see, and that is it. It is an eye, nothing more.
And why do I feel this way?
I don't know. I don't know why I never felt that, what you speak of.
You never felt the breath, you never felt the beating of the wings, you never felt that sense of power.
I felt like I was watching through its eyes and nothing more. And with that, she's kind of pushed herself up in a kind of a sitting position, leaning against the stairs.
He now is consciously aware of his actions. I think he takes a step back and kind of like slumps himself on the stairs.
I'm sorry. I need a minute.
Bone Whisperer, take a look for yourself.
Bone Whisper looks from Carnage back to Zion to Gobachin. She's been wordlessly watching this whole ordeal happen. But she takes a couple of steps forward and slowly looks.
And so too, as your gaze finds that center of orange, your vision reddens. Your cataracts over your eyes seem to fade away, revealing sight that is crystal clear, yet strangely obfuscated, as if you're looking through eyes that are not even at all reptilian, or at all even something alive. You see the verdantscape beneath you. And from this angle, it was odd at first, but then you recognize this place. This is the place that Gift is from. The place that you can't quite see it, but you can imagine where your shack is, on the other side of that cliff face over yonder. And all of a sudden, you rise up off the cliff. Not of your own volition, of course. As you begin to swoop above and then down over this village. You feel that great power begin to just build in the back of your throat. Do you open your mouth or do you close it?
I feel like this power would be something that you just can't hold on to once it starts building up. It would almost become painful. So I think out of reflex, it would.
And as the power builds up, it begins to burn hot in the back of your mouth. At first, fine, but then as it grew more and more and more painful, you let it unleash. An air hotter than the sun is unleashed upon this dainty village. People scream, run, and melt and burn like candles. The water begins to bubble and boil of the oasis that they live around. Their canvas tents catch alight. Their wooden buildings, structures, fencings catch ablaze. And then the dragon passes farther. It lands on a cliff face on the other side, looking down at this place once again. And then you're shunted from this dream, it feels. You stand there. Your clouded eyes return. You're in full control of your body once again.
Did Bone Whisper feel anything else other than the power, like any sort of emotion or anything associated with the dragon?
No, you only felt the physical side of things. And as you kind of reached out with your mind to feel anything else, either it was blocked from you or it's completely absent.
Opposite of Carnage, Bone Whisperer just takes a few steps back, blinking. She just turns to Zion. And do you think that this is how we control it? Or this is a way? Perhaps.
I don't understand. You speak of controlling this thing from using this eye, and I don't understand. Where do you get this from?
Is that not what you wanted? Is that not why you set out?
It's not why I set out. This thing, this eye, is information, nothing more. And she's shaking out these words.
Carnage. Carnage is still sitting there on the steps, shaking. He takes a long swig of this salve that he had originally given Bone Whisperer. He wipes his mouth.
Let me ask. When you looked into the eye, if you say you did, how did it feel for you, Zion?
I was high up in the sky, higher than any bird, any carrion bird ever. I felt immense. I felt like a mountain. But that's all I felt, soaring through the air.
Did you feel your muscles tense? Did you feel the heat in your belly hotter than any demon feasting?
Yes.
Did you feel as though you moved with the beast?
I felt like I was trapped within the beast.
And that does not seem like a sense of power to you.
I felt no ownership over that great beast.
You seem remarkably calm for someone who had just seen something like that. I know that how I felt when I left that thing.
I feel your lust for power is your own undoing, Carnage.
It's a rage. And you know as well as I do that a demon's rage can sometimes be uncontrollable.
Then I think for all of our safeties, don't look in that eye ever again. If you can't handle being a passenger of a Harbinger. She tries to get up to her feet. You can see a bit of blood trickling out of her head wound. Her horn is heavily splintered from the impact. She holds at it. The flesh on her head soon knits together, where only a nasty scab is now remaining. The horn, however, is heavily damaged.
Gobachun, would you care to look into it? I mean, since we're all taking turns playing God.
Gobachun resolutely shakes her head. No. Now. You look into Fromrothan. Storm spirit. No. Gobachun will not look.
Probably the wisest decision any of us made all day.
He looks to Zion.
So what now? Now that we're here, now that we've seen this eye you speak of, what now?
I told you earlier that there are 4 of these great Harbingers, and you've seen through the eyes of one. There are 3 more of these within this place. That is how I know there are 4. Though 2, the last time we were here, were not like this. They were like that obelisk I showed you in that mural, in that chamber just above us. I want to know where these things are. I want to know how we can direct them to the strongholds. I care not for flying around as them. I just want our mission to succeed. If you can't stand with me on this one, then it is here that we will part. I will go and I will carry on my crow's duty.
What is it that you want, Zion? Just information? Is that all?
That is the start, yes. My ultimate goal, as you know, is to burn all those demons alive and rid them of this world. And she is getting visibly vocal about this. She raises her voice. She stands a little bit taller than normal.
And how? How would you do that, Zion?
I don't know. But this is a start.
Turn spirit against spirit. Gobachun does not know how.
Well, it has already destroyed one village.
Carnage raises an eyebrow at that.
It destroyed a village. I remember seeing the village. I don't remember destroying anything.
When I looked through, that is what I saw. It destroyed the village that gift hails from.
And he just quietly looks at you. Doesn't say anything. But he raises an eyebrow, but just doesn't say anything.
I see. Well, speaking to Zion now, you do realize that you and your mission, everything about this screams a fool's errand. You think that you can wipe out all demons with the use of what for?
You said you felt its power.
I did. And it's true.
How many demons could you eat with those terrible claws and terrible fangs? Tell me, Carnage. How many?
As of now, yes. I'll admit the hunger. The hunger is insatiable.
How many could you?
Thousands upon thousands. I am sure of it.
Now take that, and there are 4 of these things ready to awaken. Imagine directing all of that hunger, all of that destruction upon our enemies. Imagine the apocalypse it would bring to demonkind.
You are an insane woman. You understand that. I just want to be clear before I agree to anything. You are insane to even attempt this.
Oh, you're muted.
Now, what would you do if 4 of these great apocalyptic beings just presented themselves to you? What if you knew that you could see where they fly? What if you could feel them rip everything asunder? Would not a glimmer of hope appear in your tiny heart in your chest? That perhaps that destruction can be focused.
Yes.
They are swords, and swords can be pointed at a heart, and they can slay a person.
Zion, I am not saying that you're not. That it's not a possibility. But look at the reverence you hold for these creatures that you don't even know if you can control, and for the
look at your reverence for the status quo of this world. Do you look around and like what you see?
No.
Do you want it to change? Do you want things to change?
Yes.
How can you sleep?
I would.
This will bring change.
Fuck.
I know of it. Crifoth has never seen these things before. Those demons from hell have never seen these things before. This is new carnage. This is disrupting the entire world.
Fine. Fine. He looks to Bone Whisperer. I honestly don't know what to do. I understand what her plan is. I just think it's utter insanity. The fact that we can control these creatures. You can't control demons. You kill them. Or you're hunted because you are one. Either or. It's all a bunch of hell in a handbasket, if you ask me.
Think you can control with stone? She says to Zion.
I don't know of this control that you speak. But I'm sure that yes, maybe, perhaps. I wish for that to be true. That there is some more secrets that lie within this great chamber of a time before, whose creators probably hold more secrets than I'll ever know. I want that to be true, Goba. I do.
We must first find out what caused these things to awake. And what is their natural goal before we go and change everything?
You saw it for yourself, did you not? Through those eyes. The goal is to destroy.
Yes. Destroy what? Everything? Destroy only towns? Destroy... There are just so many options. And we still don't know why. Why are they here? Why now? Was it the demons who woke them from their slumber, or something else, something more primal?
If you want to see one awake from a slumber, I think the 2 over there, and she points to way beyond, back where you guys came from, I think the 2 over there are still dormant. They were the last time I was here.
Ah, yes, I would just love to go into the lair of a sleeping beast, a slumbering leviathan. But it might be our only option.
Just know that these exist. Take that knowledge with you. Keep that in the back of your mind. I'll take you to the others.
Zion, I saved you once because I thought you were in danger. I held your frame over this precipice because of this power. I promise you that if your insanity brings us to harm, your concocted dream, your Zion, your paradise, whatever the fuck you want to call it, at the end of the day, if that brings any of them to harm, I will throw you into the maw of a harbinger myself and watch as it breaks your bones. And I won't even mind if it follows up with me.
I understand. And she just wordlessly turns, climbs up those stairs, heads back. And she's out of earshot as her steps, the echoes themselves quieting and quieting. The three of you stand at the edge of this roiling cliff with just nothing but an abyss below. A glowing orange eldritchness floats loudly a few dozen feet away from you, hanging midair as if suspended by some invisible silk. What do you do?
Indeed. I'm sorry that the two of you had to see that. But you felt what I felt, didn't you, Bone? That burning sensation. Not all of us are heartless legionaries, though. Not all of us are demon-following cocksuckers. If you ask me, I'd like to have a little bit more control than dragon flying about the air, burning whichever village or farmstead that I wish to. Yes. Yes, it was. But did you see how, you see how I acted? Did you see how I reacted to it? It's not normal. And it's not right. I almost killed her. Trust me, I've wanted to just drop her little frame straight off that cliff.
Could be an opportunity.
An opportunity for what? Gathering these four harbingers?
Altering
Like they
the
were
balance.
pets?
Pets. More like caged animals you let out once in a while. There's only so long before that animal turns and bites the hand that feeds it.
I think he looks to Gobachun at that point.
What do you think, Goba?
You muted.
Yes, I am.
Yeah.
Gobachun feel. If there is way to make everything right, we must make things right, is why we are here, is why we come with the demon woman.
Oh, hell. All right, fine. I'll,
If we do this and it goes wrong, at least we have some decision over how we die. Isn't that what you want, Carnage? Choice.
a choice in how I die.
In Crifoth, that is all you have.
That's the best gift you would have ever offered me. Yes, I suppose so. All right, fine. We follow her for now. God help if gift comes back. If the girl comes back and she survives the transition, we'll talk about it then. But we need to keep moving. I don't know how she'll find us.
Let us
What should we
keep.
do?
She will find us.
Spirits willing, they will guide her to us.
Let us keep the demise, the fate of her village silent for now.
What?
She is not in her right mind. There is no telling how she will react.
Bone Whisperer. I believe Gobachun is referring to your comment about the village.
Ah, yes, the village. When I looked, it was destroyed. Gift's village.
Gobachun hangs her head and shakes it. Bad thing. People should not lose their clans.
No. No, you are right. But we all agree. Not right now.
Agree.
We will tell her when the time is right. Carnage?
What? You expecting me to tell that insolent little girl that all of her dreams are broken? No. You can tell her yourself.
Your anger
I don't have
sometimes
to
make you
how to deal with that.
speak words that perhaps you shouldn't. You know that, I know that.
Oh, I'm not going to doubt that. But I respect you, Bone Whisperer. Do as you wish. Tell her in your own time. But I do suggest you tell her before she finds out on her own.
Of course. And Bone Whisperer would just turn and start walking.
Go Batoon follows.
Carnage, before leaving the room, takes one good long look at the eye. There's a hand that almost reaches out to it, wanting to touch it, wanting to go back, wanting to feel that heat, that blood, that demon among, like, above demons, that rage and aggression that is unlike anything he's ever felt feeding. And then he grips his halberd tight, taps it along the ground, shoves it into the back of his pack, and continues moving.
Your vision had reddened just a little bit before you turned your head to look away. As you follow Go-Butchun and Bone Whisperer up those marbled steps. And they rise and rise and rise. And soon you pass that muraled chamber with those pure flames. No sign of Zion here. You walk further yet, emerging into that great hall, where left is that great chamber in which you had your rest, the chamber that had the giant world wound in it. And to the right is just further darkness as the grand hall continues beyond sight. You hear footsteps coming from the darkness, but they grow quieter and quieter. Which way do you go? Since Bone Whisperer is leading this group.
Bone Whisperer would go where she thinks that Zion would be.
So you follow those footsteps. And you see bits of blood have been smeared against those polished marble just frescoes upon the wall. Hand smears. They're not constant, they're very intermittent. It's not like a lot of blood, but just a little bit. And you catch up as Zion, she's kind of leaning against the wall for support. She's limping. You can catch up to her. Do you say anything as she comes into view?
Glad to see you didn't try and awake the beast yourself.
If only I knew how.
So you want to awake them. Now.
Not yet. As you understand. I see it in your eyes. You're a smart one. And for that I respect you. And I value you. You have a calmness to you that Carnage lacks.
He is quick with his emotions, with his temper. He has always been like that. And I think that Carnage is literally right there. Like, and Bonus was just saying this.
I, through clenched teeth, just very like,
Don't say anything you'll regret. Don't say anything you'll regret, son of a bitch. I'll admit, my anger has a way of taking me over sometimes.
and through clenched teeth, he says,
Zion, I apologize for my irrational aggression against you. Your fractured horn is my fault, and for that I apologize.
And when she sees you, her face hardens. That companionship she showed with Bone Whisperer fades. Just a steeled look. She says nothing as she turns back, continuing along this hall. She says, kind of briskly, "The sleeping eye is this way. I think."
How long were you in your crore, Zion?
A long time.
Interesting. You hold, I assumed as much, you hold many of their traits.
What do you mean?
Your eagerness, your ideas of right, of absolute right and wrong.
I think that if someone does not have those views, they're passing up on that gift of initiative.
Initiative.
You have two hands. You have a choice. Act or don't act. I, and as all Blood Knights are, we choose to act.
Oh, it's not the acting that is so like you Blood Knights. It's more that you think that you are doing right and that everyone else is doing wrong.
If they stand idle, they are doing wrong.
But what if they are doing something that benefits themselves, say? Is not survival, is not eating, is not drinking. Is that not action to sustain oneself?
If they're sustaining themselves and nothing more, do they make the world a better place? Do they stop the demons from inching ever closer to those straggling survivors? Does it stop the affliction from spreading and eliminating every bit of water that is left on this blasted world?
But is that for you to decide? What is good? What you need to do?
I take action in what I believe is to be done.
So you think you are right. That means you think that Carnage is wrong.
I think his eyes are yet to be opened to see the full picture. I do not blame him for his ignorance.
So you think you are wiser than Carnage?
One can say that.
Yes, that is another. Ego is not one that is lost, or a trait that is lost among the Blood Knights. I am just merely asking questions. You must forgive an old Sasuri.
It's this way. And she points to another side chamber. And she ducks into it, wordlessly.
Bonus word follow, just without another word.
See those same murals. And the room is like the one before. The pure lights. The great mural spanning this great podium. Of a scene that, with the trick of the light and its prismatic and refraction and so on and so forth, forms an image of these hundreds of worshippers around the base of this obelisk. Do you feel it? Or do you not feel it? I guess would be a better way of saying it. It slumbers beneath us. That obelisk. You can see it for yourself. And she descends down the set of staircase that descends further down into the bowels of this place. Down to where the obelisk stands. And for those who follow, you see a great chamber. It has a floor not filled with void. And at its center is a great black and red obelisk, a great pillar that shoots from the ground to the ceiling. The ceiling here is high, domed to accommodate this great height. It spans over 50 feet in height. You can barely see the tip of the end. It is adorned with strange runes and symbols that glow a dark red on the black obsidian stone. There it is. It is not a royal. It is not a chaos. It is not an eye, Bone Whisperer. This was one that is still slumbering. If you wish to observe it awake, if it ever does, I recommend you watch this thing. Or perhaps not. I don't know how you wish to observe what causes this thing to crack open and become an open eye. But this is it.
So it's not open right now? It's kind of
No,
closed.
it's dormant. That thrumming feeling that you felt earlier with the other one is completely absent in this room.
Right.
And beyond this great, just tall chamber it's essentially barren, except for that nice polished stone. It kind of like it has tricks of the light
And
off
it's
of whoever's torch. Yeah.
it's just a regular pillar. It's not dancing and
No,
sparkling with.
No.
She would look at the pillar to see if there's anything different other than the obvious that it's closed, or she would look to see if there's anything different about it.
You just see those writings in some language of a time before, scrawling literally all the way up it on every face of this obelisk. Its 5 sides. like a pentagon. At its base, as you notice as the shadow kind of peels away from Zion's torch, you see the remains of dusty bones lying at the base of this obelisk. And as you kind of shoo away the dust a bit, with your presence, the mere
Muted.
the bones just lying in a heap around this obelisk. And the mere movements of your cloak, of your legs, of any kind of movement you make causes enough a little bit of a wind to stir the dust to reveal their aged forms. If you could count them, perhaps over a dozen skeletons lie around this obelisk.
What are they? Human?
They are definitely humanoid, though the skulls seem very odd. The skulls are larger than a human's could ever be. They're wider too, with a thicker brow and deeper eye sockets. The jaw is wide, not long. The teeth are missing.
What do you make of this? She'd look to anyone.
Zion does not speak.
So we're looking at. Are you showing me the bones, or are you were you looking at the pillar itself?
The bones,
together?
the skeleton around.
Okay.
Because it wasn't in the other room, right? It was just in this one.
Well, I mean, the other room did not have a floor for skeletons to rest upon.
Oh. Right. Okay.
Gobachun will walk over and pick up a skull.
And as you look up on the skull, the dust falls off. You notice something about this skull. It's heavier. It's almost like an orc skull in how heavy it is. With how thick the bone is, it's like an orc skull, but it's shaped in a completely different way. It's almost it's just wider than it is tall. Strong jaw, strong forehead. It just looks like someone took a human skull and just squished it together.
It's like my people, but no tusk.
That is odd. And there's nothing else about these skeletons? Like there's no markings on them or anything?
Give me either a investigation check or a medicine check as you're investigating these bones.
I will give you a medicine.
And I'll let you have advantage on this because you are the Bone Whisperer and you've seen many bones up close.
Excellent. This is the first time I've ever had name advantage.
Score!
That's a 14.
You notice nothing peculiar about any markings on the bones. You do not notice the lack of something on the bones. You notice that there are no scrapes, no gashes, no gouges, no scratches in any of the bones. As you kind of piece together what may have caused this thing to die, you can't think of anything. You can't think of any way you could snap the neck of a creature and not cause some fracture somewhere. You can't think of a way to stab someone somewhere and not have it appear on some rib cage or something. It's as if the person just stopped being, stopped breathing. stopped living.
These beings, they did not die of anything violent, anything physical. They just died.
Hunger, thirst, poison, sickness. All things cause you to long sleep without violence.
So do these look pristine? Because would there be like markings if they were, well, I guess not if they were poisoned and it worked really quickly, but I would imagine that hunger, you would see signs of, I don't know.
The other thing you notice about these skeletons is how, I guess, patterned, you might say, how kind of regular, how uniform the skeletons were around the base of this obelisk. They all spiraled out of it, or radiated out from it, in the same stance, the same form on the ground.
So she would nod to Gobachin. Yes, this is true. This could be. But look, and she kind of points to each one of them. Their arms, the same. Humans, well, beings, they are imperfect. They are not symmetrical. They are not the same. These are all the same.
Same. Gobachun looks at the skeletons again. Does it basically look like carbon copies of the same skeleton?
There's a bit of variation with the skeletons. Sometimes the skulls are a bit wider or shorter than the other ones. But as soon as she says that they're all the same, you realize that all the heads are like equidistant from each other, except for the one that you picked up. Same with their forearms and their vertebrae, and so on and so forth for every other bone of their body. And Bone Whisperer, the one that you picked up, it accidentally cracks under the weight of your thumb and forefinger, as if more brittle than any bone you've ever had. It snaps, and where its marrow would be leaks out a small droplet of black oil.
Immediately, Gobachin would drop it.
And it shatters like glass on the stone below.
And she would quickly... Where did it drop? Did it drop on her body, the oil, or did it drop onto the floor?
Onto the ground, the marble.
And immediately, she would take a few steps back with a gasp. This is not natural. Whatever this is. Did they seem to lead somewhere, or do they just kind of radiate out?
This room has no exit beyond the one that you came from. And they just radiate outwards, as if they died in mid-bow to the obelisk, with their hands kind of splayed out. All their bodies are kind of face down.
Would Gobachun recognize this at all as being ritualistic? Since I come from an orc tribe.
It is definitely more plausible than it being some happenstance. The other alternative is that the perhaps the bones were moved into this position post-mortem. And you can come up with other possibilities too of why or how these bones may rest in the way they do. But the idea of it being a ritual is very plausible.
Please. Sacrifice. All together. Give lives for the Dagul.
And I think that Bone Whisperer would actually kind of move one of the skeletons aside. Very, very gingerly. Almost with her staff. Just kind of poke it to the side. And she would kind of stand in the same position where that skeleton was. She'd look around and she'd slowly begin to get onto her knees and begin to bow. Just kind of looking, feeling, kind of just being very observant.
And in the spot, when you bow and you kind of look around, you notice that you can see every one of the skulls of these skeletons. You imagine being in their spot. You can imagine them being alive, and you can imagine looking into the eyes of each of your brothers and sisters, all laying down at the base of this obelisk. You can see up and see that those writings, they almost form some kind of snaking passageway from the base to the tip, and how they form together from this perspective. The glowing red kind of melds together. You see each shape is geometric, forming triangles, diagonals, weird cubic labyrinthian shapes. Some kind of writing that you've never seen written by any hand.
Would I have heard or seen anything, or I guess not seen, but heard of anything? I mean, I think that tons of travelers would pass by Bone Whisperer. Would she have heard anything similar to this?
I'll give you you have perhaps heard of skeletons which oil comes from. And these kind of skeletons are always found deep below the surface of the world. Though not always deep below the surface of the world. Sometimes there are skeletons that don't break open with oil. And so that's perhaps a cautionary tale told, or that maybe even you tell others when others bring bones to you, which might be something that you ask of. You know, oh, don't bring back those oily bones, or something to that effect. And that saying that you say kind of springs to mind now in this moment. But other than that, nothing really comes to you of any passing tale.
She'd stand up and she'd just kind of shake her head. Interesting patterns and shapes. And they clearly took a great deal. Oh, what do you know? She would... Now, question. Speak with dead. It says a corpse. Is that like a recently dead corpse?
I would say that I think first week that you need to have a corpse that has like flesh on it.
It
Or else
must
how does it talk?
So the corpse must still have a mouth.
Yeah. I say the lack of tongue here makes it not have a mouth.
That's fair. Never mind then.
Or
I think Carnage. I think
go ahead.
Carnage has been. Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
Go ahead. I think Carnage has been like sitting in this room, watching all this go down. He's kind of the very ritualistic style of how they sit in this circle, praising with reverence of this obelisk. It's this sort of, it's very reminiscent of some tribal moments that he had seen briefly in his time with the raging bloodkin. Are there any other the writing that's on the obelisks? Is it anything that maybe Carnage would maybe recognize?
These are utterly alien to you.
Okay. He looks is the black oil like still seeping on the floor from where the skull
It was
broke and cracked?
just one droplet emerged from that
droplet,
small
okay.
bone.
Okay. He then looks to Zion. Do you want us to open it? Do you think that we can open it?
I feel like it will open of its own volition. And knowing why it opens is of more importance than whether it does or not. So if we can know why this one opens, we know how the others will open.
All right. Explain to me how you wish to do that. Do we begin hitting it with sticks? Do we begin to pray as these poor souls did? How do you expect us to do this, Zion? You brought us here. You made your stance very, very apparent. How do you expect us to bring about a harbinger?
One of my Kror said prior that it was the harbinger, that first one, the great red fire one, that brings about the others. Perhaps he saw in through this eye, not this one, mind you, but the one prior, of it all. I don't know what to make of it. It seemed like a fever dream. Just an idle musing, a guess. But if that is the case, we can see, by looking through that eye, we can confirm as it flies over wherever this particular harbinger slumbers. But maybe not. Maybe that dragon will just bring about more destruction upon the surface.
The storm brings destruction. It's the natural way. Which spirit sleeps here?
I feel like the answer to that is held within the murals and pictures above this one. Shall we go make heads or tails of those drawings? Go Butchun?
Gobachun will look at pictures, cannot understand strange marks. But we'll look.
And then she nods to you and heads up the stairs, leading you, if you so choose to follow, back to that room with the great mural. And the two of you begin to look upon the frescoes, seeing if any kind of details make an appearance there. But in the meantime, what of Bone Whisperer and Carnage, now that they're left alone at the base of this obelisk?
What do you say we do? I am under the impression that she does not know what she's talking about.
She is like gift in many ways.
You're muted.
Hello?
Yes.
She is like gift in many ways. She has this ideal. Though she doesn't know, or she thinks she knows how to get there. Or maybe she doesn't. But it is true, I think that she is as lost as we are.
Isn't it amazing? But just for a moment, let's take this in. Look around you. An entire civilization. At least what we think is an entire civilization. They worshipped these things. I know devotion when I see it. Even to the point of arrogance and ignorance. Zion,
And he kind of arrogantly picks up a skull, and that skull then drags forward with the rest of the body, and he gingerly hangs this small humanoid figure in his tall tiefling hands.
This creature, whatever it was, is just as blinded by these creatures as Zion is. She will worship them to the point of death because she sees it as a means to an end.
And then he sort of just shucks the creature's bones against the rattling floor, kind of not caring to be reverent of this ritualistic endeavor.
Why not worship something that is so powerful, if that is your
Oh, I
only
can
hope?
see the appeal. Don't get me wrong, I can see the appeal. The deep, unadulterated power that these creatures have. These harbingers are gods. I can see the appeal of why. But I'm saying is, I think our tiefling friend is blind. She knows nothing about these creatures that came before us. Nothing about the old times. Yet she drags us into these caverns thinking that somehow we will find the solution to every problem Crifoth has. So far, he looks around the room again. All I count is death. There's no happiness, there's no paradise, there's no Zion. There is death, affliction, famine.
That is no different than what is on the surface.
Why seek out something that is the same as what you already have? If the end result is to be this, then why would I want to bring a harbinger to roost in its den?
Perhaps we can do what these, whatever they are, could not. Harness their power? Maybe.
And as you're saying this, he sort of is walking around this obelisk, trying to take in everything, even though he doesn't understand shit on it. I think he takes his demon claws and runs them around some of the runes, trying to visually see how they were carved in or done.
They clearly held these things in reverence. We want to hold mastery over them. Is that any different? I'm not sure, but it's the only thing we have.
She says that my impetuousness, my rage, my aggression is counter to her methods. I want the same things that Zion wants. Yet I think she would be willing to, well, sacrifice all of us for the sake of that knowledge.
As is the way of the Blood Knights, as you know. Of course.
I saved her because I cared, Bone.
You do. You care about people that you don't know.
The deeper she drags us in here, I could care less now.
And with that, you hear an ear-splitting crack on the obsidian surface of this obelisk, inches from your face, as it stretches upwards and downwards. In the meantime, Zion and Gopachun are looking upon this frescoes and murals. And you see that great scene of them worshiping this obelisk. But in the corners, you can see scenes of these people lifting giant boulders, dragging them on ropes and sleds and other contraptions, and building it. You can see them lifting those stones into a giant tower to form the obelisk. And on the other side of this mural, you can see what you thought might be a waterfall, though it is climbing from the ground up rather than falling from a cliff down. And
Waterfall. Go from waterfall.
And the waterfall, instead of flowing down like a cliff, it flows up off the ground. And at the end of each of these rivulets of water are the heads of snakes, dozens of them. Meanwhile, thousands of feet above you, in this burning grove of verdancy, a great being of primordial flame slashes and thrashes at the ground, ripping earth up, boiling the oasis down to nothing but dust. Just cinders and ash remain of this oasis village as this dragon digs and digs and digs into the earth. And as it does so, something black emerges from the ground. 1, 2, 3. It breaks its way open from the cracked earth. Heads, small, dozens of them, serpentine, but they're not made of scale nor flesh, they're made of oil. And it climbs out of the ground, one big, meaty, hooked, clawed hand. It emerges from the ground. The obelisk down beneath, in front of Carnage, begins to crack and break. The roof of this place begins to shudder. Dust falls. And so too does the ground beneath both of your feet begin to shudder and break, and soon begins to fall bit by bit. And with that, we're ending this session. And with that, thank you, everyone, for exploring this place beneath the earth, this relic of a time before, this place of great secrets, the place where the eye watches. You can join us next week as we can pick up off of where we left off here, as the floor is literally falling beneath our feet. And yeah, we can just do little outros here as we conclude for the night. We'll start off with Carnage in the bottom right corner. Talk to us, Carnage.
Hello. Yes, I am terrified of my own self now. I am absolutely shitting my Crifoth pants. Connor, this is awesome, man. For those of you guys who don't know me, my name is Chad. I have a YouTube channel. I'm on a lot of YouTube channels, and I love this channel a lot. I'm here regularly. I love it. Crifoth is kind of amazing to me, and dude, you've been capturing the fear for me, and also like you've been doing everything that I expected. The absolute fear and desolation of Crifoth, the lore and cool stuff within it. It just so many things, and all the characters are just coming to life for me. And thank you for that. Just the amount of stuff that I get to explore in this world is super cool. And now I am terrified for next week. Thank you.
For our viewers and anyone watching the future, past or present, this is the power of a session 0. You can find out exactly what your players want. You can kind of twist it and twist their words and make them suffer. You can go ahead, Tamiko. Do your little outro.
Oh, look, this is Kana, proving to everyone that you don't have to be above ground in Crifoth to be afraid. Like, oh my god, are you kidding me? Crazy. Like, throwing some fucking abomination shit. Like, okay. Anyways, I'm Tamiko. Hi. I'm mostly, if you ever want to see me again, outside of this game, I'm mostly on this channel, Dice on Ice, playing these guys' games. I am also on a Twitch stream on Wednesdays. For a friend of mine streams that. The Twitch channel is Lunchbaux. That's lunch, Bauks. If you want to check that out, it's a totally different vibe than Crifoth, but it's still super tasty. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Have you gotten the book yet? Buy the book. Get your Crifoths. Yep. One of us. Be one of us. That's pretty much all I've got.
Thank you. Yeah, buy the book. You can find the link for this book in the description of this video. Or you can Google through it because you're all very competent, smart people. Megan.
RPG. Yeah, look for it on DriveThruRPG.
That's the place where you can find it.
Yes.
I am apologizing. I mean, just click the link because typing words is difficult in Google. So yeah.
So hi, I am co-everything, co-author, co-conspirator, channel person, channel host. Yeah, thanks. This is awesome. I'm very excited. It's very brutal. I love how everyone is showing more and more of their true colors are coming out, which is really, really exciting to see. And yeah, so thanks everyone for playing, and very scared for next week. But until then, if you want to see more of us, well, specifically me and Chad and Jake and Jason Osorio, tomorrow we are doing the finale of The People Who Come After You. So this just adds no more sunshine to this channel because this is a horror game. And we're working on the
sunshine, lollipops, and rainbow.
That's what this channel's about, is just happiness.
Yep.
So yeah, that should be exciting. So tune in tomorrow. And yeah, thanks for running it. And my camera, I apologize for my camera being dumb.
And well, with that said, buy your copies now. And Megan, thank you for producing this. And can you get us the Crifoth out of here?